I wasn't running. And they said, tell us one thing that we guarantee you'll get. And that was the most powerful set of 30 seconds. So think about that sometimes. Think about what you guarantee if somebody has a follow-up discussion with you. It doesn't have to be what you monetize. In fact, I encourage you to do something that's totally focused on that's going to be independent of who you are. Anyway, we're excited today because we have Irene Krasnov is going to be talking to us. Irene, is this your first opportunity to share what you're going to share today?
First opportunity in years, as a matter of fact, speaking live. I have been speaking online since 2012.
Okay, well, I'm going to introduce her.
Yeah.
So this is exciting. So I would encourage you to listen carefully, to take in what she's giving, and be encouraging. Give her good positive energy. She has 20 plus years of sales and marketing experience. How many people in here are in sales? Hopefully every hand goes up, because everybody here is in sales. If you don't understand that, we need to have a one-on-one, because we're all selling. Even if you're just out trying to get a date, you're selling.
Exactly.
Okay? So she started aspiring entrepreneur, stay at home. Her story is one that many women have. Is she was staying at home, raising kids, realized that even Jenna has a similar but very, very common story here. So there's a lot of women out there, but there's a lot of guys who have women in their lives, or guys who can benefit from the things she's going to talk about today, which is basically, how do you take control? How do you market? How do you build a six-figure business? By learning about some sales and marketing techniques, digital and otherwise. So Irene is, as a mompreneur,
Yes.
mompreneur, I have a hard time saying that, but it's not a new term. I don't know if that's in the dictionary yet, but anyway, if you'll join me, are you going to stay down there?
No, she's going to move back up.
There
All
we
right,
go.
come on up here.
Okay.
Let's
Wow.
give Irene Krasnov a hand.
All right, awesome. Thank you so
You'll do
much.
great.
This is just so exciting, because the last time I gave a formal presentation was back in 2008 when I was working for IBM. So, and the rest of the time has been just online. So I want to go back to 2006 and share a little bit of my story about how I ran into relationship-based selling. How many of you in here have heard the term relationship-based selling? Very good. So you know exactly what I'll be covering, except I'm going to be talking about it in the context of digital marketing, which includes social media. We all know that organic reach in Facebook and other social media platforms are down. So let me ask you this other question. How many of you have an extra $2,000, $3,000, $6,000 per month to put into Facebook ads so that you can build your 5 or 6 figure business? Anybody in this room have that kind of money laying around? Yes, I kid you not. If you want to build a 6-figure business via social media, on average, a small business owner is drinks, karaoke, we play pool and have all this fun. And then I was wondering, what is all this for? I thought we were just decompressing. But the reality was that we were building relationships. We were cultivating relationships. We got to know our client on a personal level beyond just the formalities of the project. Just by knowing about their families and their hobbies and all of that wonderful stuff and talking skiing, within 3 months after we completed the project, we won a $2 million follow-up project. So that's when I started to have that aha moment, and I started to learn everything possible about building the total customer experience and how to merge marketing with sales to get maximum impact. So fast forward to 2012, I just gave birth to my baby July 19th, and then 2 months later realized that I have to go back to work, but I didn't want to leave my baby at daycare. So I had to figure out a way to work from home, which is how Aspiring Mompreneur began. So I started to figure out everything possible about social media and how to cultivate relationships online, and most important of all, how to sell online. My very first live stream, I remember, I just completely bombed it. This was back in 2015. And from that experience, I learned, okay, what can I do to finesse, practice, And then I learned that you have to deliver content that resonates, and you got to do this organically, especially if you don't have money to spend on Facebook ads. So just by live streaming, the first year I remember it was so exciting when I made $12,000, and this was part-time. Just from that, it was like so exciting. So I decided to take that technique to help moms to build their six-figure business. And I've also helped clients to grow stagnant businesses into six figures. So all of this is through Soulful social selling. So let me just go scroll down through my, because I could even do this. What's going on here?
Just the arrow button.
Okay, so we all are familiar with the traditional, with the traditional selling model, which is basically product-based. The philosophy is always be closing, use any tactic whatsoever to pressure, to manipulate. And it's not people-focused. Even though in the 21st century we have evolved into social media and cultivating relationships and having conversations, still we find some business owners using this tactic. So what they would do, they would invade your Facebook Messenger, or they will invade your LinkedIn messaging, or they will send these spammy emails, but that doesn't work. So there's a new method, which I believe arose around the 1990s with email marketing, when you started to build relationships through email. And then when social media evolved, then it became an entirely different ballpark, because suddenly you had access to a global audience. So just in Facebook alone, on an average, there's about 1.87 billion global users, active users, and that's huge. And so the other social media platforms have similar usage, so you can see your audience widens. So how many of you in this room are actively using social media to build brand awareness, to also generate leads, and also to make sales? That's awesome. So those of you who know relationship-based marketing, you already know the technique to acquire clients. So
Some of the techniques.
some of the techniques, but I'm going to show you some little known tricks that will help you to do this organically. Keep in mind that you will have to always invest in some Facebook ads, and the thing that you want to do with Facebook ads, I'm going to give away the strategy for free, is that you want to use Facebook ads to build your list. So you got to build your list, you got to nurture your audience, and then you got to make sales. And you got to do these 3 things every single day, literally every single day. How many of you are selling every single day? Anyone in this room?
Selling?
Good. Selling, yes.
On Facebook?
Not just Facebook, anything, online, offline, selling. And by selling, I mean you're always selling, the whole process. You've got to actively do something. You've got to actively have a product or service that you're promoting, and you're doing that through building relationships. If you're inconsistent, you're not going to get the results. I guess the key of what I'm trying to drive at is consistent social media email marketing activity if you want your business to grow. Most of us aren't consistent, and let's be honest, because I'm also guilty of that too. So that's the bottom line, is what I mean by selling every day. You literally got to think in those terms. So the whole concept of social selling is basically, it's beyond connecting. You want to also delight your prospects. The story that I told you back in 2006 delighted our clients when we took them out to entertain them. It's kind of the same concept. You got to delight them online with your content. And it can't always be about your business. You've got to connect on a personal relationship level. And that's what I'm going to share with you. So, whoops, I went backwards. How did I do that? There we go. Okay. So why soulful? I like the term soulful because it goes beyond the know, like, and trust factor that David talked about earlier. It goes at a much more deeper level. It's about developing a genuine connection, because we can all engage with people's content in Facebook groups, in Facebook, and LinkedIn, Instagram, and all of that stuff. But you're just engaging for the sake of engagement. You got to come across as being genuine, and it has to come from a place of genuineness versus a place of wanting to sell. And then it's what I call a mix of intuition and information. You have the information that your ideal prospects need to solve their specific business problem, whether that's needing new gutters, plumbing, whether that's needing a business jump started all over again, whether that's some help with some digital marketing strategies. So you have that information. You give your ideal prospects those tips on social media, but then you got to take them off of social media, because the whole thing is you got to take them away from social media. Because you know what? Tomorrow Facebook could decide to close down your account, or LinkedIn, and so on and so forth. So you got to have strategies for getting them into either A, your email list, or B, a one-on-one call. So always strive to have strategy calls or build your email list, because those two you own, those two you're in control. So when you're having conversations, you'll get to know your clients on an intuitive basis. So that's what I mean by soulful selling, because then the conversation goes in an unexpected direction, and then you're able to resonate with them and offer them a product or service that's actually going to resonate, and will have them come back and do business with you over and over again. The key is you want to build a lifetime value that's in the thousands, because it costs 5 times as much to acquire a new customer or client as it does to retain them. So you always want to continue to delight them. And this is where social media comes in very handy, as we all know. Okay, so some stats very quickly. Over 50% of companies that use social media marketing have found that it increases their revenue and sales. And then 39% of B2B professionals, this can also apply for B2C, have found that social selling reduced the amount of time that they had to spend to research leads. And that's a pain in the neck. We all know that. So basically, I've talked about this earlier, alluded to it. It involves 3 components. So whenever you're putting in out content, whether that's in Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn, etc., make sure that your content is doing these 3 things, and spread out your content. It's both video as well as written. Your content obviously has to educate, and you're educating your ideal prospects about their specific business challenge, specific solutions. Give them quick wins. Nothing that reveals your secret sauce, but quick wins that they can immediately implement and see results. Entertain. If you're a natural comedian, and I'm not a natural comedian, I wish I was, entertain them. You can use somebody else's entertaining content, share that out, and also entertain them that way. What that does, it creates good feelings. It also helps them to connect with you, and it's beyond just doing business. People love a good laugh. Who doesn't, right? Especially after a busy day, you want to have a good laugh, and we all go to social media to escape. What do we do when we're stuck in traffic? We look at our Facebook. What do we do when we're bored? We look at Facebook, you know? On lunch hour, nobody to talk to you in the lunchroom, or nobody, you know, you have no one, you're a solopreneur, you go on Facebook or somewhere else, social media-wide, to engage. And so it's great to be entertained, and people will remember you. And obviously you want to engage. And so I'm going to go through some strategies. And how am I doing on time? Because I'm a blabbermouth. So.
You're doing good.
Fine. Good. So if you have any questions, feel free to stop me. Well, I'll take questions at the end. Here we go. Simple strategies. I'm all about simplicity. One of the things at IBM I learned was being very complex, because we dealt with complex IT systems. So, and I have a complex mind that I inherited from my father. So I tend to make things way more complicated than they need to be. So I learned through trial and error, in terms of selling to moms, aspiring mom entrepreneurs, that you've got to give them simple strategies. Whenever you're a live stream, you got to do the same thing. Simple 3 points, summarize the 3 points, end with a call to action. That's it. So I learned that in whether I'm marketing through Facebook or LinkedIn, it's best to keep it to this core, simple, organic component. So I use my news feed extensively to develop brand awareness. So how many of you know how to customize your news feed? Okay, there's a cool trick. You can do this in Facebook to customize your news
You
feed.
mean to filter whose news you want to see, right?
Yes, exactly, to filter who you want to see.
Oh.
So, part of the relationship building process, and you can do this from LinkedIn into Facebook as well, is to make friends with your prospects. And when you add them as friends, you can add them to a list. Facebook has the capacity for you to create a list. You can name it a business related name and then add them to that list. And furthermore, you can follow them. What that does when you follow them, and this works in LinkedIn as well, whenever they post something, you will see it on your news feed. That gives you an opportunity to engage with their content. And when you engage with their content about their family, about something funny they posted or an article they shared, and you provide thoughtful comments, not that, oh, this is great. What that does is they remember you, and then it builds that conversation right then and there. You're engaging in conversation. So when it comes time, when you reach out to them and you want to add them as a friend, they will accept your friend request, number one. Number two, when you message them, they'll be receptive to your message and they won't see you as a spammer. So this is wonderful. It's a technique that I use all the time. Literally 30 minutes a day, doing the 4 things that I suggest will grow your business tremendously. So the newsfeed I use for LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram and Pinterest. In Instagram, I'll use hashtags. In Pinterest, I will just pin regularly and then go into their message and message them individually. Facebook groups, how many of you are members of Facebook groups as it relates to your business? Awesome, very good. That's another avenue via which you can have conversations. People are often asking questions or they post something, so engage with those posts. Don't just ignore it because somebody said something you already know about. Add to the conversation. People will remember you. So here's another question. How many of you on your personal timeline have information about your business with links to your website and social media accounts? Awesome. If you don't, do it. Because when people take a look at your profile, they will notice your business information and that will get them onto your other social media accounts and also get them to check out your website. So I also use Facebook groups to connect with members. After I have conversations with them, I add them as friends. I also scan to the member list to see who I can friend, and then I follow their conversations. And I have a system for following them because obviously it's hard to keep up with 200 people's conversations. And in newsfeed, you're not going to see everything because there's only so much information that Facebook can show you. So I use very strategically. I have a way of following my most profitable prospects. Now, LinkedIn is a great place to have conversations, especially through LinkedIn messaging. Why? Because everybody is there to do business. So they're receptive to getting an email from you within LinkedIn, provided you do not spam them. I've seen so many spammy messages that talks about their automated message and how they can help me generate 6,000 leads. Well, I go to them, did you read my profile? Do you see that I'm experienced in lead generation? See, you have got to do your homework and you can then utilize LinkedIn messaging via doing your homework and then having conversations. Now, LinkedIn is interesting. It's evolving kind of similar to Facebook, but it's not exactly the same as Facebook. You can post updates and get engagement. You can leverage influencers in LinkedIn and then start having conversations with your ideal prospects via an influencer's post. It's just amazing what you can do on LinkedIn. And the notifications in LinkedIn is golden. Somebody has a birthday, wish them happy birthday. They'll remember you for that. If they have a work anniversary, wish them happy anniversary and say something much more meaningful beyond happy anniversary. Yes?
LinkedIn offers standard responses. I would suggest you
Yes.
avoid using them.
Exactly. Don't use the standard responses. If you have to, add to it, because you want it to come from you.
Right.
And literally, it takes seconds. It doesn't take that long to do that.
Is it best to just use the general LinkedIn, or should we get what LinkedIn offers, the business, whatever?
Gotcha.
Sales
Very good
Navigator.
question. LinkedIn Premium, Sales Navigator, you don't need it. You can do a lot with a free version. The only thing with the free version is when someone views your profile, it doesn't allow you to see beyond, I think, 2 or 3 of them. That's the only drawback. But just from your current connections, you can do a lot. And you can also use the search function that will enable you to do a lot more. So you really don't need to pay for it unless you really want to. And you want Sales Navigator to get some additional insights, and also you want their built-in CRM, then yeah, but that's like $80 a month. So you can do a lot for the free. Videos and live streaming. Is there anyone in here that videos or live streams? Okay, very good. The number of hands are getting fewer and fewer. And that's perfectly understandable because video is just nerve-wracking. And so what I recommend doing, because the first time I did a video, I was so scared because there's no one on the other side. And it's like talking to yourself and you feel almost schizophrenic. So what I did was I used my phone to practice. That was number 1. Number 2, I also used Instagram stories. That's perfect because they disappear within 24 hours. You can destroy the evidence, or yeah, or you can just simply delete. Now the Facebook business page is a great way to practice as well. Why? Because organic reach sucks, so only 2 people will see it best, and you have 800 friends. Who cares if two people saw your video? But it's a great way to build that connection because people see you in action with your body language. I love to use my hands everywhere so people see that. And sometimes people have even seen my messy. Well, unfortunately, I had a situation where I was taking care of my daughter while I was in the middle of a live stream. She wanted to eat. Well, it was a fortunate thing I was taking care of her, not unfortunate, but she wanted to eat. And I had to go to the kitchen, so I took my laptop and I went in the backtrack in the kitchen, and then, oh my God, my kitchen's messy. There were dishes on the counter. I go, oh shit. So I used that.
My kind of girl.
So I was just real honest and said, you know what? This is the life of a mom entrepreneur.
Good for you.
And you know what happened 2 years later? I got a sale from that. 2 years later.
Wow.
So you just never know what could happen through video and live streaming.
You were being genuine.
Yeah, I was being genuine. That's the key. Now, when it comes to LinkedIn, do you think I'll be doing that in LinkedIn?
Maybe not.
No. My videos tend to be a lot more professional. And thank God I have not. Well, the thing that I was insulted by LinkedIn, they didn't choose me to test out the live system. That was such a disaster. But the native video, you can also do native videos through your phone and do it that way and upload it. Or you can just edit out a video and post it. That way you look professional. So use video because it gets way more engagement. I don't remember the exact number, but it gets way more engagement. That's one stat I didn't put down, and I'm a stat girl. I'm surprised I didn't even put that. So I think I went into the news feed in detail, so I don't need to go through this slide again. So you always remember to connect on a personal basis. It's fun. I've had some great conversations. I talked to someone in Australia about her horses because I love horses. So the conversations are just amazing. So I would suggest with Facebook groups is that if you don't have a Facebook group, create one. Because what you can do with a Facebook group, you can have a whole group of your ideal prospects and you can nurture that relationship. It's great. And within 1 to 2 weeks, you can get 60, 70, 80, 90 people in your Facebook group. And you can migrate them from LinkedIn to Facebook. So you might want to consider that. The other thing is pick 5 Facebook groups. How many in here are crazy like me and you have over 50 Facebook groups? Anybody want to confess? Yeah, that's quite a lot. So you pick 5 groups to engage in regularly. You can do a tiered approach and do 20, but I suggest focusing on 5 key ones, particularly with thousands of members, and start engaging there to get known. And you want to get known by the administrator because that might end up in there inviting you to do a guest speaking through Livestream. So you just never know what Facebook can yield. See, all of the stuff so far, I have not said anything about Facebook ads, have I? Nothing. So you can do this, and you can invest, let's say $50 to $100 to grow your list, and the rest of this stuff for the high dollar sales, you can use this method. It works like a charm. So one client of mine, She closed 3 20K deals just by using the system, 3 within a 6-month period. So some messaging etiquette that I know you all are aware of, so I feel like I'm preaching to the choir here. Respect their inboxes, but you want to show up there regularly, but respectfully. Make it all about them. Use LinkedIn to do research. Use Facebook groups to do research. And then it only takes 3 minutes, and you go to their website in 3 minutes. I promise you, you'll learn a lot. You'll learn a lot about what services they offer and what pain points that they're solving that really matters to them. If you can speak to how you can help them solve their clients' pain points, boom, you got an audience right there. So done right, if you do the Facebook Messenger, the Instagram, you can even email through Instagram. I didn't know that until last week. And you do LinkedIn. Done right, you can average on about 10 to 20 meetings or so per week. And then assuming a 40% conversion rate, this is a steady stream of client base, wouldn't you agree? Let's see what else. And I talked about video live streaming, and at this point, we're here for
You're doing
Q&A.
great. Perfect.
Yeah.
I've got plenty.
Do we have time?
Oh, yeah, go
Got
for it.
questions.
So let's have conversations.
Well, let's applaud what she's already done. Now share more wisdom with us. Share more wisdom with us.
Some more wisdom.
Anything else? Anybody
Anything,
have questions?
What have you tried that bombed?
What have I tried that bombed? That is a great question. The one thing that I've tried that's bombed, that I'm trying to master, is my email marketing. And I want to explain that as to why that bombed. So I got real crazy in 2016 by building an email of 200 from webinars and all this wonderful stuff. But I didn't nurture them. For 2 years, they didn't hear a single word from me.
Sounds like me.
Yeah.
Been there, done that, right?
Yeah.
I'm still doing that.
And
We
then
just
I
discussed that this
cried.
morning.
I didn't cry literally, but internally I cried when I wrote this beautiful, heartfelt message speaking to their pain points, and my open rate was 7% and 0 clicks. So that's what I would say was what I bombed. But I learned from that, and I'm finessing my
Oh, that's good.
my email marketing. So work on your email marketing, because it's the only thing you own is your email list, especially if you download it. Yeah, any other questions,
And if you
comments?
don't know how to do it, hire Jenna.
Right.
There you go, she's your person for that.
How do you nurture that Facebook group? Like once you create that, how do you grow that list of people that could join you and make it into a bigger successful group?
It's just how do you nurture your Facebook?
Group, yeah.
Yeah, that is an excellent
Should you say
question.
nurture it or grow it?
Nurture it.
Nurture it.
Nurture,
Grow
it,
and
yeah,
nurture all at the
yeah.
same time.
You have to nurture it in order to grow it.
Yeah, it's kind of like the chicken and egg sort of syndrome here. So if you're starting from scratch, obviously it asks you have to add one person there. So find an entrepreneur friend and add that person first. The number 2 thing that I do is I design a customized message, and I literally will invite people on my Facebook list. And there's a whole technique I use, but that to invite them. And then the other thing that I do is your email signature is a great way to add members. Anytime you have a live stream or you're presenting, invite people to join your Facebook group, but be real clear about the benefits of your Facebook group and have a compelling description. That's key. Your description should be something that inspires people to join, because people will search inside of Facebook for a Facebook group. Now, and there's so many Facebook groups, I don't know how many they are. You got to do everything you can to stand up. There's literally billions. So you have to, but it takes work. But if you nurture the relationships in other social media platforms, you can invite them over to Facebook. If you sell something like a digital course, or even if you're selling a physical product, you can still invite them over to your Facebook group. Does that answer your question?
Irene, I have to leave. I want to just tell you that was great, and you've inspired me to do more in Facebook.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Oh, look, Randy, let's do the accountability partners.
Yeah, so I'll be sure to stop you.
Because inspired and doing it, 2 different things.
Yes,
Jay.
yes, inspiring and doing, yes. Yes.
Yeah, so my question is, it's already hard just to be copying the content for your business page, your personal timeline. Now we have a Facebook group. Do I copy the same content from the business, or do I now have to have one more content generation?
That is an excellent question. I'm
That's
so
right.
glad you asked
Excellent.
it. So the content, usually I will use either my blog content or content from an email marketing, and I will tweak it because I don't want to sound the same. So your business page, I give less emphasis to producing and creating content there. I will keep content sort of like a website because business page interaction, organic is low. So I'll just have bare minimum content there. Most of the content in the Facebook groups, it's going to be short posts, but usually storytelling. So I just kind of segment my content, storytelling content, educational content, entertaining content, and I sort of spread it out that way so that I'm not repeating the same thing. Now, oftentimes, same content might resonate in 4 or 5 other Facebook groups, so I'll just tweak it. So that's what I do. Does that help?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, but yes, it's a tricky one.
Jay?
But the answer is, so there is a separate content for the group, for your own private group.
Yes, but
And that's usually curated by the people in the group,
Yeah.
whatever their feed.
Your group gives you interaction if your
yeah.
group is effective.
Yeah, so if your group is very good, they'll give content for you to interact. You can also post there. I also suggest actively posting without selling because that's a great way to get known. But you just got to work with your existing content and invest in creating original content in platforms like LinkedIn where it matters because in LinkedIn information matters. So you just got to be strategic and tweak it that way. So I know you had a question.
Rayanne, did you have something?
So someone is working in corporate at the same time he has a business,
Mm-hmm.
and this is in LinkedIn particularly.
Yeah.
It says these mix-ups, the messages. So is that a way that you keep completely separate, even your corporate doesn't know whether you are doing business or not?
Yeah, that is a very good question because I think that's a dilemma that a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs with corporate backgrounds face. I would say in your LinkedIn, you want to keep the conversation general and write articles general. And then it's very, very tricky because you want to do, even with social media, they can still follow you. The corporations are not stalking you night and day. I think majority of your activity should be on other social media platforms. But there's ways that you can certainly use LinkedIn, especially LinkedIn groups is a great way to have conversations in there because but then they'll see you posted something, but you have to keep it very general and be careful in how you communicate so that it's not obvious that you're starting a business. But it's dicey. But ultimately, the thing is you want to cultivate one-on-one relationships and then move them over to either a call with you or onto your email list to have those conversations off of LinkedIn. So get them off of LinkedIn would be the best strategy.
Great.
She answered it.
Okay,
Okay, cool.
well, let's give Irene a hand. That was awesome. You did an awesome job.
Thank you so much. Take
Great.
this
For
opportunity.
the first time, what, in a year or so, or?
No, the first time since 2008 doing it
Wow.
in front
Yeah.
of an audience.
Over 10 years.
So she's a natural, right?
Oh, yeah,
Awesome.
we wouldn't know if you didn't tell us.